We still got a minute.
Oh.
That's okay.
All right, you all say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morgan Township meeting, April 27th, 2020. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustee minutes from April 13th, 2020 as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to to approve the payment listings from 4/14/2020 through 4/27/2020. Payment number 257-2020 through 287-2020, and warrant number 9894 through 9913 for a total of $105,464.18.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, Mr. Galloway.
Okay, first of all, in the administrator report, you'll see, number one, just an update on the COVID-19 township operational overview. If you didn't hear, the governor spoke just at 2 o'clock today about some timeframes of opening and some things like that. He also covered some of the service agencies and all that, which now looks like they're going to be requiring masks for any service type work. So I will review that and then get with, if the road department is out or we're out now, we'll see what those details are. They just came out and I haven't really read the specifics of them yet, other than they may be requiring us to wear masks when we're out now in the
They are.
public and something.
I
So-
listened to it while I was working.
So.
Now, is
yeah.
that effective May 4th, or is that
12th.
effective immediately?
It's effective May 12th.
May 12th
Oh,
is
May
that one
12th
for service
for
folks.
I thought that was retail. May 4th was any,
Anybody with masks, is what he said. He said, so if you didn't have to wear a mask into Kroger's, May 12th you do. You
Well,
didn't-
some were May 1st, some were May
But the
4th,
fourth,
and some were May 12th.
12th.
But the
Yeah.
mask was May 12th. He said that even if it doesn't require it, you
Okay.
do it as of May 12th.
all right.
So we'll see. I'll go through his, because I get from the Ohio Fire Chiefs his exact stuff that he spoke about spelled out in detail to read how it affects us. Just like we got the stay-at-home stuff when it first came out. So I'll review that. In your packet, you'll have a fact sheet that says coronavirus pandemic eligible protective measurements. So this is the FEMA 7525 reimbursement. So if you flip over to the back, we fall into several categories here with stuff that we've done. Purchasing of medical supplies, including PPE and other items like that. And then the last point down there, reimbursement for state, tribe, territory, or local government force on account of overtime costs. So, you know, when they had told us, and we do our projection for our staffing about 6 weeks out, so they had said that May was going to be a horrible month, 10,000 new cases. We had put a fourth person on. Well, now that's not the case, but I'm not going to tell those folks that have committed to already work in the month of May. So We've got measures here now through that to go after the 75-25, and we will pursue that when we've already filed our paperwork to FEMA and to the state for a request for public assistance, so we don't know exactly what the criteria is yet now to fill out that. But the second part of that, number 2, about the monitoring the CARES Act. So the CARES Act is numerous things. I know you're getting stuff from the Ohio Township Association, but the CARES Act addresses a lot of different means of reimbursement back through former funds. Well, actually, this afternoon, we got a $2,600 check back for some of the EMS and transport stuff. So that, as we just read the fine print of that will allow us to use that money to go back and backfill some of the folks that we've put on for that extra person in May. So we will, once the reimbursement procedures comes out, we will do that, and we'll file for that 75-25. And at the moment, the 25% is on the local match, but there's been word that it's potential that the state might pick up part or all of that 25%, and there'd be none out to us. So we have a file that Connie actually is maintaining it, but we do the bills, and anything that we're buying now or anything associated with COVID-19, we're in this file. So when the reimbursement process comes, we'll have all those invoices and stuff for any medical supplies, PPE that we have all ready to file that reimbursement. And then the other thing that Connie and I are watching is the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp's dividend payments. So they're supposed to reimburse back the 2018 dividend payments, and we have not received ours yet. So we're just keeping an eye on that as well. We're staying, both myself and Connie are staying pretty much on all of the items that are supposed to be refunds and all that back to the townships. But one of the things that I did read in one of the CARE Acts is that it's possible that the CARE Acts will reimburse us back for other things, but it won't do anything for the local government fund. So that's one of the things we're kind of watching to see if it does affect any reimbursement back in the local government through the state. Questions on anything on that, on the administration side? See, you guys are looking at the reimbursement. So on the reimbursement, like I said, it'll cover all the stuff that we bought. We stocked up on EMS supplies for this PPE that we bought some, but most of it was donated through both EMA and then local residents, which we got a local resident one just the other day again from Healing Springs Nurse Pharmacy. So what we did is, the ones we did will be reimbursable back through the FEMA. So. And we'll definitely try on the fourth person for the overtime cost and the additional cost, and we'll see how that goes. So, but we have at least received some of the CARE Act money already from the feds. Okay.
So where do you stand on the Duke Energy Center? Is that still going, or is it kind of on hold?
That's an interesting question. So Chief Griffith is actually, since he's on the IMT, he's actually assigned down there through VA now. So VA is paying his salary to be down there as a planning person. But that was built out. It was completely built out. It's got 150 beds in there, 100 for acute, low and moderate co-bed patients, and 50 for skilled nursing. So if nursing homes have an overflow or something like that, they can put skilled nursing folks in the 50 beds. So there's 150 beds down there. The battle that's going on right now is between the state and the city of Cincinnati on the lease. So there's what they call wraparound costs, or it's like internet, electric, things like that. The parking can be wrapped in the lease, but they're really far apart on the lease right now because what we were told on Wednesday was that it had to have actual people in there to get to the next level of what the state would kick in on the lease. So until there's anybody in there, there's a significant difference between what the city wants on a daily basis and what the state is actually offering. So the pipe and drape, which divides all the beds up there, that was rented by the city for 1 month through May 20th. So it's possible that facility will stay up for 1 month through May 20th. But also the Health Collaborative, who actually built that, who actually instructed that to be built out with the state's permission, They're now looking at the surge, what happens this week when everybody goes back and gets together again, if the surge goes back up again. And I actually heard a call this afternoon that there could be surges the next 7 to 10 days if all the social distancing goes away. They're waiting for spikes to see if they'll go back up. That facility may come to use. But
Yeah.
right now, it's what they call a warm build out, which means they're ready, and they're ready at a 96-hour window to receive patients by putting nurses and doctor staff in there. So it's at that 96-hour ready to go period now.
And the concern is ICU admissions throughout the state are going up.
Yeah.
Hospitalizations are going down, but actual ICU admissions, I don't know if you saw in the news, Christ has so many, they already opened their Surge 1 ICU at Christ. So ICUs are up, but hospitals are down, so it's kind of you're darned if you do and darned if you don't. If you take it down, you need it, but it's up. And what Chief has us working on now in the planning section is we're building an off-the-shelf plan that we could use anytime. So if this ever happens again, or we tear it down today, it has to be open next month, we take it off and we implement it. So that's our goal this week while we're waiting for direction.
It's kind of a unique opportunity. It's kind of a unique situation. This Duke Energy Center is owned by the city of Cincinnati, but they hire a management company to manage it. But all the legal stuff and the lease has to be back through the city of Cincinnati, so, and not through Spectra, the management company. So it's very fine. And then you're dealing with like 3 entities at the state level. Department of Administrative Services, the Guard, and then the Adjutant General is the one who actually is the one that releases the funds to cover the payment for these things. So as of Friday afternoon, and I haven't heard anything different today, they're still in the back and forth on the lease on it. So, but it's there, it's ready to go. If the facility has to be used, it's ready to go. So,
Okay.
all right. On the fire chief's report, first is a motion for firefighter EMT Jacob Yan for his 3-year anniversary raise at 15 cents to a hourly wage of $15.60 effective 5/3 of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Carol?
77-2020.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second one is a motion for Assistant Chief Jeff Griffith, his 12-year anniversary, raise of 50 cents to $25.95 an hour effective 5/3 of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Next is going to give you a couple of updates on the station. The first one is they're still, their timeline as of last week is to do the punch-out list the first week in June. They were supposed to start the back parking lot and all that today, but it's still too wet, so that part will probably put them close to that June, but with all the rain that's coming. But the interior, it will be done, I'm sure by June 1st when the punch-out is on their timeline. So with that being said, I met with one of the kitchen folks today, and they had to redo their bid. But we're looking at then remodeling the kitchen and upgrading that probably about the 3rd week in June, and staying consistent with just everything torn up around there and all that. That will entail doing something over here for a week or so, a week to 10 days, utilizing this kitchen of some manner until we can get the new kitchen back up and running. I gave you a couple of plans. So if you look at the big floor plan here first, this guy, this one here. And then if you go in your packet, you will see an estimate from Accurate Carpentry. And for 3.5 years, Dwayne with Accurate Carpentry has really come out here on his own dime and had a really good, strong plan for making load-bearing walls out of the walls that were never made load-bearing back in '93 when the building was built. His estimate is almost $85,000. So my recommendation to the trustees is we've got enough room, and I'll show you the new plan here. We've got enough room now that I just don't think that it's going to warrant $85,000 right now in the budget and the economy. to do anything with that. So if you look on the plan, you'll see the big room that says training room, room 110. That was the original training room when the station was built, before it got all boxed in into 3 little bedrooms. What I'd like to do is, those walls just go right to the ceiling. They don't go anything else. They're just temporary walls really in there. What I would suggest we do is tear those walls back out and make one big training room as it was. And then the room that has to stay there because of the load-bearing walls, we would move Captain Fawn's down and make that the training office for him. And then the second sheet you got is this one, the second floor. And we would take the 4th bedroom, and that would become the EMS coordinator's office. And I apologize, it's really hard to read. That's the one up at the top office. And then the bottom office where Captain Fawn's is now, we'd make that the EMS supply room. That would be secure, lockable, and all that, and that should have plenty of room for the EMS stuff. And then we really don't need any more room to really go to that expense of the load-bearing walls right now. I can't see justifying that, and we gain a decent training room back. That I remember that training room going to fire chiefs meetings before they boxed it all in. It's a decent sized room for training.
Is that room going to be temperature controlled enough for the EMS stuff?
Yeah, well.
Upstairs,
It
yes.
actually has a very nice air conditioning unit in it that is used for the
Right, that's
switches.
the server racks. Up
Server
there.
rack there, so we-
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. My goal is, though, is that AC unit and all that is from '93. That whole AC and everything is in 1993. The unit outside, it's so unenergy efficient now. So when the addition's done, I'm going to go out, and I'd like to go out and get requests for bids to redo the AC unit in the existing station, and then add. Yep.
Just to help the chief out on that a little bit, we've had to recharge the Freon in it like 2 times last year, 2 times the year before, and already 1 time this year, and we haven't even got started in the summertime yet, so.
Yep.
Well, I remember that office being like a sauna. That's why.
Well, so the goal would be, is they're really not, if they're not ducked in there, Rob, if I'm,
That's correct.
so they would be ducked in with the new system, and then, put a higher tonnage in there that actually would make that side of the building and upstairs feasible. But on the shorts, until we did that, it's got the little portable air conditioning in that room for the meds and stuff.
And to make that lockable is a great value add for us because it has a combination, so it would be really.
And plus it's locked at the bottom of the
It's
steps
locked at the
too.
bottom of
Yeah.
the steps with a camera at that door,
Right.
so it'd
I've
be
got
a
my-
triple.
I got my
Yeah.
2 layers of security.
But I just.
So is that the lab that we were talking about last week? Will
The
will that
lab,
be
the lab was going to be one of the little rooms downstairs that we've eliminated, but what I talked to today with Lieutenant Galloway and a couple other folks is we would just, in that big training room, just put these white tables like this to the back of the room and just leave the EMS stuff out there
Okay.
that they can use any time in that one big training room.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yep. So we're accomplishing it, just not having its own little private room. It would still be in the big training room.
No, that's all training stuff, so none of that has to be locked up, right?
No.
No, and actually, if you look at it, there's an actual training door that's right there at the glass window
Right,
in
you
that
can
hall
shut
that
that
is a
door.
lockable door. So you, in theory, could lock the whole training room and the captain's training office off with that locked if you needed to.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I just can't see, though, the cost of doing that to gain that little bit of space upstairs right now. We really don't need it, and the way funding and mechanisms are in the economy, I just would say that we just pass on that and we just go with this floor plan now, and we gain our training room back, and we gain everything that we really needed back. Next is, you'll see in there, and I know we talked about this, and I have in there, and I think that before we leave tonight, everybody, the 3 trustees, myself, signed a letter disputing the charges that we send back to Branstetter and Carroll, would be my suggestion. So instead of
Okay.
just our names on it, if all 3 trustees and myself sign it tonight, then that would be the letter of dispute that will go back to them and go from there. And I've got the master copy with the
Okay.
colored logo on it.
Chief, one
yes.
thing, are we just, the total $40,000, that's what we're putting into dispute?
We're putting in dispute.
And we're going to negotiate that?
I'm going to say we'll probably, Jeff, negotiate all of these little line items here I'm sure they're gonna want to dispute them line by line and not the whole overall general 40,000.
So how much have we paid? And I know when I talked with you and Jack Grove, he said, do not pay any more.
Right.
So how much of this $40,715 have we paid?
Well, we paid most of it because the men's bathroom, they would have stopped work if they didn't hook the additional line in there. The 21,000 for the louvers and stuff, we paid that right off the bat. That was the water line and all that when they were first pouring the slab. The HVAC, we paid that because now the AC units, the 984, that's already up there in the attic and already enclosed and encased in there where the filters go. We have paid the 424 because they couldn't finish putting the sinks and the counters in or doing any plumbing for that. And the storm drain, we have not paid that one yet. That is potentially on this bill come Wednesday, when we get the bill Wednesday. Connie and I had talked to Ian first, the day before we talked to Jack, and he's like, well, you can stop Empire from doing work, but we have no problem negotiating and talking about this, but you're probably going to hurt your project and all that if you stop Empire from working. Plus, some of that stuff has already been weeks out that's already been installed to keep the project going.
Okay.
I think, like I said in that email, my goal was with Jack is to say, how is it harder to get the money back at the end than it is up front? And they have the errors and admissions insurance that they do that you file a claim on, which is his one suggestion. But I think he said to you, and the next day when Jeff had walked in my office and we were on it, is he suggested not anymore because to show him you're playing hardball. Well, at the same time, Ian says you can do whatever you want to us. We're open to negotiating and talking about this. But if you put your project on halt, you don't know when Empire is going to start that project back up again or move all their stuff to something else, and then your project's not going to get done in time and stuff. So it was one of these moves I had to make really fast and sent the email out. Do you really want to stop the project, or do you want to just send the letter saying these are the things we're actually physically disputing on their errors and admissions insurance?
And the people we're not paying, you're talking about not paying, is Empire, and
Right,
none of
it's
this
no
is
Brand's
Empire's
Care.
fault. They're doing, the work. So it's really not fair to penalize them.
Or their subs.
Or their subs because of Branstetter and Carroll's omissions
Mess-ups.
or errors.
But again, I had some more come Thursday. Got some more is the documentation. Where as far back in July, there was the issues with both the FEMA storm shelter, a tornado shelter, that was kicked back, and the adjudication letters, all that, and then emails complete from Ian. Plus, the day you guys were seeing it here, that they admitted that the one thing was their fault. They never even looked in that box and saw that it wasn't a 2-inch line. Well, that's the $3,774 cost there. So they're out there admitting that they missed stuff. And
And at one time, that was 12,000.
that was 12,000 that the engineer did some work with the building department and got to where they could split the lines up, and it only went down to 3,700. But that's obvious stuff that they admit to in emails and in meetings that they admitted to, which is where, that's where I think we go after them with these dispute of change orders. But to stop the construction, really, as Connie said on the day we were on this, you're penalizing Empire and its subcontractors that have already done the work. After the fact, now we're going to say, okay, stop it because of making the point that we mean business. And it was something that Connie and I both talked, and I sent that email to you. Do you want me to send this, or this was just my opinion that we don't stop the project? So.
Okay.
Next, you're going to have a packet. I think it says Kraus Electric, and you're going to have a picture. Looks like this with a header with a
line that's like 8 up?
Yeah. So Lieutenant Schroyer, their crew went down one day to check all the trucks down at 142 in Shandon, and they looked and they came back and said, Chief, the conduit from the meter is rotted through and you can see exposed wire. So I sent Rob down there. This is Rob's picture. And Rob said, man, we got to get that done. We got to fix that fast. That thing is rotted through. There's exposed high voltage wires in that. And I'm like, okay. So Kraus Electric is one of the companies that we use locally here to do a lot of township work. And Nathan went down there, and this is his proposal. It's $3,247. And that's installing a new 200 amp electric service in the building. And I believe, Rob, did he tell you that's also including the permits he's got to pull?
I believe so,
Yeah, that's the permits he has to pull. Well, here it is on the second page. Provide labor, materials, equipment to install a new 200 amp service in the building. And I'm pretty sure he told either you or me that.
Right underneath there, it says that.
Does it say permits too?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it
inspections.
includes electrical permits and inspections. So, you know, the township owns that building on a 99-year lease from the church as long as we continue to maintain it as a fire station. And it's up to us in the agreement, 'cause I've got, thanks to Rob, an old ancient agreement that we're to maintain the building mechanically and maintenance part of it. So this is something we need addressed immediately, because that conduit's rotted all the way through the exposed wires.
So was it a 200 amp before or 100 amp?
I think it was only 100 amp before.
That's what I was thinking.
Chief, do you want to get a second estimate on this?
We can do that. Rob, you want to talk to KISS? Or you want to get, or another one? Who would you like to get a second bid from?
Trying to think,
Who else has done electric work for us?
there's another local guy out in Ocana-Drewsburg. What's his name? Doug Fritz Electric.
Okay, we can research him tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, yep,
Well, I might not be able to get to it tomorrow,
yep,
maybe Wednesday.
okay. Or if you know his name or his company name, I'll research it tomorrow.
It's Doug Fritz with D&E Electric on Ocana-Drewsburg Road.
D&E?
Yes.
D&E.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we can do that. We'll do that and get back with you.
So if this is a potential hazard, should we shut the power off to that building? If somebody touches that, are they
Rob?
at risk of getting shocked?
The experts than I am.
Well,
If
is
they
that
was gonna
incoming
have
or
this-
outgoing
if
out of
they
that
was-
meter?
Going to have the Strawberry Festival, I'd be worried about it, but right now, there's really not anybody going to be around it, and it is kind of up high, a little higher, but it's still, if you look at that picture, I mean,
Yeah.
it's frayed pretty good. But there hasn't been any problems as of yet.
Is that coming in off the main line, what we're seeing?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right as it comes off the pole that comes from the main lines.
You know, with that frayed like that and being screwed and grounded to that metal structure, that whole building is an electrical shock hazard then.
In theory, we could. The bay doors are manual. The heat, if it gets cold again, is propane.
The vehicles
So
just
it'd
wouldn't
just
charge.
it'd just be the lights. And the charge on the vehicle's under charge.
You'd still need electric for the thermostat for the furnace, though, wouldn't you?
And the fan.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. We could flag it and stay away from it. We could do some flagging, stay away from it, or we could just shut it down. We have 3 vehicles down there, the second engine, the rescue, and the brush truck that's on charges down there now.
What's the time frame? I know you're going to get other bids, but Kraus, how soon could he have gotten on it?
He did not tell me that. He just sent me the bid last
I
week. He
think we
did not tell
probably
me.
should do this sooner than later.
Could we maybe just pass a resolution to approve the best bid under $3,500 so that Chief can go ahead and get this done?
I think so, it's just so we
We
can
have
get
to go
somebody
out for
on.
bids for $3,500?
You don't have to.
Not usually.
Threshold's like 25,000.
And I've used Nathan myself at home, and his price has always been under, because I always get a couple bids, and his has been under what, the other bid that I got. He does good work.
I'm just,
I thought any work that we did, especially in this 3,000 plus range, I thought we always sought additional bids for that work. I mean, even when we do any IT work, we bidded that work out.
No, we didn't. We didn't bid out the IT work for the new system. We probably should have, but we didn't.
Well, leave it for discussion then, if whatever you want to do, if you want to go ahead and,
I'm thinking this needs to be done.
This is a safety issue.
Yeah.
It's a safety hazard.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean,
Yeah, I
this
think-
is the chief's deal. I'm sticking my nose in his business.
oh,
But
No, but if we wait 2 weeks and then it catches fire, how
Right.
much is it gonna cost us then?
Yeah.
and we,
Or somebody gets zapped, which shouldn't, but you never know.
then we can pass the resolution if you want to. And I can give Jeff Kist a call tomorrow and ask him if he can take a look at it and tell him it's a critical scenario, situation. And if he could do anything quickly, then that's an option, and if not, then we go with Nathan. Chief?
Anybody watches the videos kind of got an advantage. They know what Nathan's price is. Just saying.
I'll take the direction from the three of you. What would you like? I can also call this D&E in the morning, and say we need.
I'd say if they're all within the
we need a
same
quote tomorrow.
price range, who's going to get to it fastest would probably be the determining factor.
Do you want to find out, Chief, how quickly?
I'll
Kraus
call
can
DE
do
tomorrow
this.
and see how fast they can do it, and I can call Kraus in the morning and see how fast he can get to it, sure. I can just
That's-
send an email.
Yeah, but that still doesn't solve the problem of having approval to go ahead and do this if we don't do a resolution tonight.
All right, let's do a
I say you do the
resolution.
resolution, anything under 3,500, the best of what chief, because of the emergency situation. Give him to go if he needs 1 call, 2 calls. If he says he can get it right away and the other guy wants to bid it and he can have it in by the end of the day, then go the best of the 2.
Okay.
So I'll
Was
make
that
a
your
motion.
motion? Okay.
So I'll make a motion to get it, we'll say under $3,300
Okay?
because of what this one is right here. And whoever can do it the fastest because of the safety issue under the best decision of the chief.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, number 5, I updated this just because of I said you have this big sheet, the 10-year plan, and that's on Jeff, that's this one right here on this counter right here in the bottom. So I said last meeting when we started to take a look at the economy, and Connie and I are looking at it, so I ran last week and finished today updating our 10-year capital projects. So I ran it all the way through 2029, and really some of the replacement stuff that's out there. At the bottom, you'll see that actually we're really healthy on vehicles. So at the bottom, I've kind of put on here the replacement of the tanker in the year 2024. That'll make it 24 years old. We upped the life of it a couple of years, if you remember, when we put the new pump in there that we had to for $8,000. So that one is going to be scheduled in 2024, and we're going to try and go after an AFG grant, Assistance for Firefighter Federal Grant, to pay for that tanker. With the same thing as the engine 142, the one that's down at Station 142. In 2024, it'll be 12 years old, and I had this plan we were going to change the tanker, is taking a look at it. We had a committee of condensing 2 trucks down to 1. taking the second engine and then designing the tanker to be a secondary backup engine if the main one goes down. So reducing the amount of cost for maintenance and all that from 2 trucks down to 3. So that's a possibility in 2024, but in 2024 would be the start of changing out that tanker, because by the time you do that and your bids and all that, it would take another year to build it out, which would then make it a 25-year-old vehicle.
You meant 2 trucks to 1, not 3, right?
2 to 1. Take the second engine and the tanker and make those 2 trucks and combine it into 1 truck. Did I say?
Said 3.
Oh, I did? No, 2
That's
to
why I
1.
was like, no, not 2
No,
into
2
3.
trucks into 1.
Yes, I know what you meant.
2 trucks into 1, yep. The other engine 142, that's not even slated at 20 years to be until 2037. So that one, we're very good on that one. The medic truck, now it's Medic 142, that was done in 14. So 15 years usually for medic trucks. They get the road a little bit harder because of more calls. That's not till 2029. Really, the only thing that is out there, large capital projects through the next 10 years, is replacement of the utility, which is what Chief Griffith uses and responds in. That one in 2021 will be 13 years old, but it's Rob's old truck. It's rusting pretty bad now. And then the other one is the potential to replace the battalion, the Ford Escape in 2022. That would be 12 years old then, and it's rusting out horribly in the fender wells. I'm kind of shocked that vehicle is rusting out that bad in those rear fender wells. So those are the 2 vehicles that's been identified. One potentially in 2022, and the other one next year. But that's also open to see how budgets and funding go. But I just wanted to show you this because really, other than that, there's not a lot of large capital items the next 10 years, because our fleet is pretty up to date, new, and in good shape.
Are you still rotating Medic 141, 142 so they get even wear?
Yep, because they're actually identical now. I mean, literally identical, 4-wheel drive and everything like that. So now that we've got some of the bugs worked out of the new one, we'll start that on a month-to-month where we rotate them, because we couldn't with the other one because of not 4-wheel drive. But yes, we're going to rotate them month to month.
Okay.
Any other questions on the updated 10-year capital? We're hoping the grant has been put in by the fire chiefs now for the replacement of the radios. So that's now been put in, and the deadlock, the timing was closed on that grant. So we're just waiting now, which probably won't be till November, coming back if the county got an announcement on that grant or not to pay for the radios. Okay, next, I'm going to let Chief Griffith, as you know, we went through and did, and this was also a direction from most of my folks years ago to sell the Argo, because it's not used, hasn't been used. And now Ross has the brand new Gator, 4-seat Gator that does both firefighting and patient removal with an area for a stretcher on the back. So the trailer sold last week for $3,500, and the Argo sold Friday for $8,800. And I'm going to let Chief Griffith just explain the rest of that.
So what I first gave you there is everything we've sold on Gov Deals since I've been involved in it, which has been almost 12 years. Well, 11 we started that. We've been able to recoup for the fire department $70,055, and then the other $50,000 is for the road department, and we've returned back to our general fund $124,999.01 by reselling things that we determined to be excess. That's been returned back, and Connie distributes it, however, to whatever funds it came from to help offset those costs. So when you deal with Gov Deals and you do it a long time, there's a process you go through. You just don't throw things up and hope for the best. You get an idea of what they're offering you on trade-in. Some of it is purely junk. I mean, I sold some lights for $100, as little as that. And you'll see some other things, some low-dollar things, an airbag here, something there. But whatever we can get, we get. We put it on for 2 weeks or a week, depending on, and we sell it. So with the Argo, we determined that its value by NADA was $5,799. And then I always use two sources, so the second source was NADA, was really NADA, and then the other one was Auto Trader. They'll actually give it to you on that, and it's $7,720 was the book values on them, what you could buy them for, not even trade in. That was what you know, that's what you could buy them from a dealer. So I set after talking to Chief, Rob, a lot of people, I set it way high and then adjust it down, because sometimes you do that to see if you just get lucky, but the buyers on Gov Deals are pretty sophisticated. So I set the reserve at $8,000, and I watched the bids, and you can always lower the reserve. So I saw it was getting close, and so I set the reserve at $7,800. And you know, I've had a back and forth with some legitimate buyers. I've had some also people who are just catfishing me on Gov Deals, in my opinion. But I talked to some back and forth, and you know, like this guy that bought it, he said, if you'll put the tracks on it, I'll get you. You know, I'll keep bidding on it because I really want it. So we said 78. There was a little bidding war, and it got for 8,800, which is well above what you probably should have got. We paid approximately $13,000 for it when we bought it. The trailer we paid $3,800 for, and we got $3,500. Well, that's a pretty good deal. So when you look at the Argo and why we decided to not use it, part of the thing the chief and I go through is how much is his asset used. So since 2008, and we log every run into into Firehouse, so I checked it. It had 7 responses in 12 years. So then I dove into each response, and only 2 were in Morgan Township. So in 2010, it did an emergency extrication of a patient somewhere off the road. And then in 2013, it went down a driveway to bring somebody out who had a long lay driveway in Big Snow.
Oh, not at Jenkins?
No, it was right here on Chapel. That was a body recovery. That other one was a body
Yep.
recovery. So it did do 2 body recoveries. But that's all that asset's been used in 12 years. So you have to look at, and then you, as Chief mentioned, you have to look at the maintenance of it. It sits and it gets used, and we have ability to use something else. So that's why it was decided that it was excess. And the crews that do rescue and that also agree that that is excess. And we have, we have a boat now that we got on a grant. You know, the Argo does go in water, but the boat goes in water. So why duplicate resources when we can do shared services, what the state of Ohio wants, shared services? We're sharing a service with Ross Township with their side-by-side. So all those things considered, that's how $7,800 was reached as a reserve, with the hope that, you know, you gotta go a little bit up and down, a little bit back and forth, and hopefully the buyers will call and email and you go back and forth. And we had a lot of interest. It went round and round, so eventually a gentleman bought it in Lexington, Tennessee. He's a real nice guy. He's thrilled to have it, and he's coming to get it Thursday after Rob puts the tracks on for him.
When the trailer went out, when it was bought, were the markings, did it stay intact?
So what we do with that is, some people, we reach an agreement. So like when we sold the squad when it went to Haiti, we stripped it off because we didn't want anything about it.
Yeah.
The trailer, the gentleman bought it in way up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he said, that's aluminum, I don't want you scraping those off. I promise, here's my name, here's my address. I will remove them professionally, save you the money, and then I will send you a picture that was done.
Okay.
And I have nothing to believe that he won't do that. He was, he drove 7 hours from the UP to get it. He was a farmer, and we all met him, and there's no question that that's what he'll do. The Argo, we'll actually take that plate off before it leaves, and it has no other markings. We even took the lights off the trailer just to reuse those, because we reuse everything we can.
And was there a boat on top of that trailer?
The boat, that's gonna be the next thing we're gonna sell. The boat was not included in the price, and that was clearly marked on Gov Deals that the boat was not included.
Okay.
And the boat is sitting down at Station
The John
142.
boat, the 14-foot aluminum John boat has been in the township for a lot of years.
Yeah.
A lot of years.
Part of the family now.
Yeah.
Well, it's going on Gov Deals, because
Yeah.
if we can get whatever we can get out of it, we're gonna sell it. Same way with that generator. I fully intend to put that old generator on Gov
The old
Deals.
station generator.
Yeah. I've sold things as cheap as $5, and I've sold as much as whatever, but there's a whole process to it. You just don't willy-nilly throw these things out. It becomes kind of an art after a while.
What
So-
size is that?
What?
that generator?
The
45 kW.
45 kW.
Generac.
I
It was
couldn't
bought,
remember.
it was bought from surplus. So
Yeah, I remember what's getting, I just couldn't remember the size.
we don't have a ton in it, but we'll try to get the most we can out of it.
Is that a mobile generator on wheel or
No,
stationary?
it's stationary.
It's stationary.
Is that the one
stationary.
that we were looking at having service done every 6 months, so it would auto
Yeah.
start when needed?
No.
No, that was Rob's.
That was Rob's.
That's
Oh, okay.
Rob's. That was Rob's. Ours is the same type of generator, but ours didn't really actually have a lot of issues with it, except it was technically residential and it didn't power up everything up in the station.
You're gonna have a replacement? Obviously, you got a
The new
replacement
building,
for that.
the new
building
addition
has
got a
one.
new generator as part of the package. Yeah, that's just to
So
jump to,
we'll sell it. We try to sell everything. And sometimes, and we've only had not sold like one thing, and then you relist it cheaper because you find out you probably hit the number too high and you adjust down. You always start high and go down. And you get a sense real fast when they start calling and emailing you what that sense is based on also when you use book value.
So just to close this loop, so when it was bought all new in '08, it was $16,800 for everything, like the trailer and then the Argo. We sold everything for $12,300, so that's a $4,500 difference. You divide that by 12 years, that's like $375 a year of depreciation. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And you know, we've sold the Expedition. We bought it for $2,700. We sold it for $2,400. Got a $5,000 radio out of it. We donated and gave the Task 141 to the sheriff's office. We sold Medic 143, and actually made more than what it was supposed to make. Double what it's supposed to make. We sold the Argo trailer, the old engine, the old Freightliner we sold, and got good money off of that. So it's odd that one person would question the Argo and not all this other stuff that we sold and done well with. But again, that's for that person to continue to argue. But I don't appreciate him calling Chief Griffith and chewing him out for questioning why we're selling it.
And acting like a buyer.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
better things to do
So,
with my life.
and he's a local. He knows who he is. So, okay. Next, I'm going to go down to the POs, and I'll let Chief just give an update on the COVID, where our supplies and all are. So the first one is I ran around and got a check from you guys, a half. So the contractor said to me, "Hey, Chief, you're going to need carpet and flooring in here in 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh crap!" So the first four flooring companies I called had messages on their phone: "We're closed due to the COVID-19. Don't know when we're going to reopen." I'm like, "Great." The fourth one I called said, "I can't. We're doing stuff, kind of big jobs. We're not open, but we can't even come see you till the end of May." So I'm like, "Okay, great." So the sixth person I called was this Hillsmeyer, or if you know him, down there on Route 4 across from the old Fisher plant, the humongous bills down there. And so I went down there, and it's his son, Tom Hillsmeyer, and really a great guy. Had a lot of stuff on stock that was there, and then some of the stuff that he had to order to get it in. But I got a really good sense talking to him. They've been in business since 1969. A lot of his installers, he got one installer that's been with him for 32 years, another one for 28 years, and then two other installers that's been with him like 18 years. So, you know, today in business today, that's unheard of. So we went through everything, and the stuff that was in stock and the deals that he made, because the stuff was already in stock, or it was like discontinued, no longer being made, the rolls, and then the flooring for the 3 offices and the copier room. So installation, and this also includes the day room all the way back to the new kitchen, the full day room. Install labor, the vinyl, this stuff all around the entire building, the vinyl cove base. All that was $16,530. I had to act immediately on it, made that decision, talked to the 3 of you, and then he requested with us a half down to order the other materials he did. He has already given me a May 11th date. The week of May 11th, he'll be in and start installing it and go from there. But again, the COVID, you know, this is the 6th guy I called. The first 5, like I said, we either closed or the one was not even available to even see us till the end of May. And they gave us a timeline of being punch list of June 1st.
Will all your the work staff be out of the building by May 11th? So
It'll
it's
be ready
full-
for flooring. Yeah,
Flooring.
the paint, the second coat of paint. In fact, Evans was in there Friday and painted the first coat on the doors. So they just hung the doors. So
Yeah.
he's staying ahead, and he can't do his final coat until they finish putting the ceiling tiles in. But the grids are in now. They finished that today. So everything's in that step process to where the flooring will be ready on that week of May 11th, where they'll have stuff already out, and they're already kind of doing some construction cleaning in there now because we're just being overrun by drywall dust in that. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Everything has got a coat of white on it now because there's that black plastic is kind of almost gone now. It's so wore out. So they're got their side cleaned enough that the week of the 11th they've assured us we'll be ready for your flooring in there. So this will be an after of a PO approved after, but again, just because of time frames and all that, and him being open and him having the stuff on there was something that I moved forward on a week ago Friday.
So is that a now and then? Do you have
No, it'll be
No?
fine. Because
Okay.
I did the PO when Chief needed it.
Okay.
It just hadn't been approved by you
All right.
guys.
I'll
And
make-
it needs to be to humongous bills. That's how he
Right.
wanted the check done.
I'll make a motion for purchase order for Humongous Bills Fine Flooring for the firehouse expansion for $16,530.60 for the flooring.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And the last one is, I know Jeff and Tom have both shown some interest of not having the white walls on the side of the building, which I never signed anything with Branstad and Carroll that says I wanted white walls, but again, it wasn't in a document for me to approve. They just said I set it out in the parking lot the day that Rob and I were in the parking lot picking other colors. So unfortunately, I can't prove that I picked white, but I don't think I would really match anything else on the building that's white above the bay doors. But Rob and I did see, I showed Rob the picture of the three-fold thing that had the colors of all the, and we never saw that. So I don't know how to go about that other than you've all expressed, Brett hasn't really said anything yet, but the other two have it. Can we paint that building to the side of the brick? So I got an estimate from David Evans to do that, and then the 6 door frames that are around the door, the bay doors that are existing now are just down to wood. The paint is actually
all
down to
peeling
wood
off.
now. And we could do it, but the problem is as soon as we start to do it, we get a call and then we're covered in paint and all that versus just getting an estimate for all the package at one. David said, and I already grabbed the bricks, and you can, the three of you can say, yeah, I want it the red or the tan. It doesn't matter to me, but he can take a brick, put it under their little eye, and get the exact paint to match it. But this is his quote for doing all of the building, all of the exterior sides, and then the 6 bay door frames, labor, paint, materials for all of that. So I had him give one because, like I said, you had shown some interest about can we paint this thing a color that matches the rest of the building, and that is his estimate.
My suggestion is paint it, match the buff brick, the brown brick, not the red brick.
The light tannish,
Light tan,
yellow
buff,
tannish one.
yeah.
Yep,
I agree.
yep.
I agree.
All right, I'll make a motion for a purchase order for Art Evans and Son Incorporated for painting the exterior of the new addition and the 6 garage door frames, labor and material included, for a total price of $3,130.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
That's all I have tonight. I'm going to let AC talk about our updated COVID, both staffing and our supplies, unless you have something else for me.
Okay, as Chief said, we put a 4th person on in May because the wave was supposed to hit, the surge is not going to hit. It doesn't look like. The cases are dropping. Hospital admissions, new cases are dropping. Only thing up in the state is ICU admissions by today's numbers. As you saw, the governor has allowed some things to begin. Elective surgery procedures and elective procedures start on May 1st. Nothing that requires a hospitalization. As that word gets out, I think people will pretty much start trying to get back to some sort of normal life. EMS calls are going about the same for us because our citizens don't call unless it's really bad. So we've been busy. As you've seen your active 911, we've stayed pretty constant where other departments still are 30 to 40% down our runs on EMS transports. We did get our CARES 1 fund grant, $2,619.61. I have to go on and accept that and accept the terms of it. And with your permission, I'd like to do that. We don't, they call hard billing now balance billing. We don't balance bill, so part of the agreement is you don't hard bill anybody for COVID-related runs. We don't do that anyway, so this is just money that we'll receive to help with extra staffing or extra supplies. Connie's got the folder. There's no problem with justifying or showing what we spent. There is rumor of a CARES 2 grant also coming. And this is basically to reimburse on Medicare. This is a Medicare reimbursement, not a private hospital. As far as supplies, we remain in good shape. The Green Machine in Ross made a huge donation to us of 100 N95s, 100 surgical masks, 12 goggles, and 10 gowns, which is incredible. That put us well within what I think we'll need for this or any extra waves in the fall or whatever might happen. The only concern is now hospitals, when you bring anybody in, you have to put a mask on everybody, including the patient. But they don't have to be N95s, and we have a good supply, so I'm not concerned. I've not asked for any from anybody else because in good conscience, I think we're fine. And other places really need them. So that's
Are your vendors starting to stock them again?
now, we did get some, we were excited. We do get some thermometer covers coming, 500. We're really happy to get those 500 thermometer covers. So there are some things trickling in, but some of the big things aren't, like Calbicide, the clean and all that. It's just we can't find it. So you put in a request and keep waiting. And most of our vendors now, you can't even order online. You have to talk to the rep, and they're kind of deciding who gets what as far as supplies. So you just, it's just like going to Kroger. You go every day and hope you get what you're looking for. So we remain well stocked. There's no issues right now, no medication issues, nothing right now. That's not to say that will change in a month or 2 months as people get sick and production waxes and wanes. But we'll get what we can and keep on it. Also, Healing Springs made a donation also. We appreciated that. It's always nice to see our community partners show up at their door unsolicited and give us stuff. Try to thank them both here and on Facebook. And, I hope everybody remembers these businesses when this is over. That they have done, if it's one thing, we don't care. We'll take it. So that's really about COVID. Unless there's anything else, there's really.
We actually only had, and the only thing I was going to add is we only had one, so far in this entire thing, we had one firefighter paramedic call off sick one day.
Yeah.
So our staffing has stayed
People are staying
very
healthy.
well. They're all healthy. I was in there today, and Lieutenant Cooper was spraying the entire station down twice today with Cabicide. He's just spraying every door handle and all that. So the measures we've taken, we've only had one person. It wasn't even a COVID-related thing. He probably had either a cold or the flu, and he was out one 12-hour shift. And other than that, we've had no sick or no folks that have not missed any work on
Yeah,
working from
we
working.
decon the squad every morning in all the touch points. So we're trying to do what's, check temperatures. Everybody's really good about checking temperatures every 12 hours. You don't have to do it every 12 hours, but we do it. It's supposed to be when you come on duty and when you leave, but we just do it every 12 hours in case somebody would happen to spike a temperature.
Okay.
That's our report. Sorry it drug on a little longer, but there was some value tonight, so.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Hey, yes, first off, we did our first culvert on Lehigh Road today. We got the culvert in, got flow will fill on it. Hopefully be able to blacktop that tomorrow. The second one is supposed to go east of Cornelius Lane. That might be in jeopardy because of rain on Wednesday, so just gonna have to play it by ear. But the other thing I need to speak with the trustees in executive session regarding personnel. I need about 10 minutes, if I could, please. And Chief Galloway, I'd like for you to be in there also.
All right.
It's for compensation?
Just personnel.
Well, we can't do just personnel.
Well, I don't know how else to put it, but it's regarding personnel. If you want to call it disciplinary or what, I don't know, but I don't really think it's disciplinary, but
Okay,
it's,
so it'd be the first one.
Let him read this, and then when we get to it, you can tell me which one it is.
Look on the second page on 112, Rob.
You can just let me know when we get to that. Anything else? Mr. Brown?
I thought personnel matters was it. That's why I said that. I mean, personnel matters and,
It's got
right
a,
here, executive session can only be held for the following reasons, certain personnel matters. Does that have to be spelled out?
yeah, and there's like there's like eight or nine of them
Categories.
on categories it's got to go under. You got to have that to go into it. That's one of the new things out.
On,
You have
On
anything else other
112.
than that? Rob?
Matters to keep confidential.
Okay. You see what I got to do. That's why I had those made up.
I do, but I know what,
All right.
Did you get
Anything
your-
else?
that's it.
Did you get your salt? Did you
No,
order?
I did not order salt because salt is actually
Going to be like 20 cents cheaper next year.
So
Per
I'm
ton,
gonna-
so
I'm
we
gonna
held
wait
off.
Towards the end of the year to order it back in.
Okay.
So the salt did not go up, it actually went down about 20 cents a ton, but it's through the same vendor as before.
You're getting that down in Addiston, aren't you? On the
Correct.
river?
Yes.
I went past there the other day and they are just busting at the seams with salt down there.
I
They're probably giving it away.
was
No.
hoping that it would
No, they
go
ain't
down,
giving it.
but this is the first year that they have not increased their price by a couple dollars.
Yeah.
I want to say there's been 1 year, other than this one, that I've been here that it went down instead of up. But it's only happened one other time.
And 1 year, if we went with the state contract, we'd have saved significantly, but we always chose to stay with the county on their contract, and it's always worked out well.
But 90% of the time, ours has been lower.
Correct. We even thought about some other contracts with other entities, but ours still beats them.
All right, anything else? Mr. Marshall?
Okay, I'll start out with our contact us that I received this week, just to let you know where they're at. You have received, I'm sure, emails of responses if you want to go check them, but the first one I had through Tom was a pool size person asking what are the pool laws here in this township in terms of zoning, which I pulled out all the articles for that particular one, put it in the email and sent them to me. I've not heard a response back from the person, but at this point, that's where I've at least responded to that. Second is someone questioning if they could live in a camper with a mobile home on the other side or something like that. Didn't know all the details to it, didn't have a phone number other than just to write one.
Right.
But I pulled up the 11B.21 and 22, which deal with mobile homes in terms of where they can be placed. Because a mobile home only, and an RV also, a mobile home can only be placed in a mobile home park here in the township, and that was effective somewhere in 2009 or so, or somewhere in there, long before I got in. And then the RV and the camper cannot necessarily be, the RV can't be lived in. It's only can be stored. And then usually has to be stored enclosed and everything else. But I kind of overlook that in a way, because if they put it to the side yard or something like that, you know, we've got so many campers and RVs in this township that to require everyone to have a place to cover it, I don't know, you know.
There was a person in Ross that was contacted by the Butler County zoning because they had a camper, RV, parked in the driveway. He has underlying health conditions. His wife's a nurse, and he wanted to separate himself from his wife.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting
And
there
that,
with.
that was,
Right.
after he explained the circumstances, they rescinded the order to
Well, I mean,
move the trailer and suspend living in it.
I'm
So-
guilty of it because I have a camper sitting there in my driveway. Okay? And everything else. I mean, essentially, I need to get it moved and put it somewhere. But again, my wife and I have thought about it, that if we got compromised in some form or fashion, then out they'd go. So it would be our sterile place for them. But that's neither here nor there.
Right, right.
Then I also responded to the anonymous one for the Okeana-Drewsbury Road. On that one, as part of it, I was going to cover it in the next part of it. I responded back today, again, as a second response, telling him that the second letter was sent out on Friday because the 20 days had expired, because it was back in the 1st of April, and the 20 days expired this week.
No response from the first one?
No response from the first one. I've seen no movement. I've been told there's 22 cars. I went down today, kind of slowed down, looked enough, and I only counted 12, 13 maybe at the most, and everything else. I know we're getting lots of response on this in Okeana and everything else. Any help that you guys can do in terms of maybe?
Go behind the township, the community house and look,
No, but I will.
because you can go all the way back to the creek straight behind there and be able to see everything you need to see.
Okay, good. That way I could get good pictures, right?
Dale, you might want to drive. What time did you come through there?
Well, it was after I left here.
You
it was-
might just drive through. I noticed a bunch of cars missing when I came to this meeting.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I've taken pictures and I saw lots and lots of cars in the pictures. And then when I went down one other Saturday just to see if he was doing it, I saw several things of it. But the one big one that really needs to go is the one that's sitting on the trailer, and it's in 5 or 6, 7 or 8 different body pieces. It's the gold one and everything else. That's the biggest one that lets me know. Because a lot of them look like they have license plates on them and don't meet the qualifications of what an inoperable vehicle is. Because they're not missing an engine, they're not missing, they're not crashed enough to the point where you would say they're inoperable. They're not missing tires. There's 3 options there in the ORC. So, I mean, my question is he running a business there? If he is running a business there, then he's in violation of residential 2 where he couldn't have the business. And that's what I'm trying to confirm, all right? And I would go after it that way, because it's the only other way.
Another concern that I've received is just the junk piled up on the porch.
On the
and
porch, right.
Wanted to know if that was a fire issue, because it is blocking
Certainly.
the egress of that door.
Well, and then there's.
That's something the fire department can look
We
into.
it's the same as we did with Trader. We can write a notice that it's a fire hazard, but the health department really has the authority to actually go in there and do anything. We can write a letter to them about a fire hazard, but the health department, we found with Tim Traders, is they're the only ones that have actually that right to go on there if it's a health hazard with health violations.
How does that
Is
get
it garbage
initiated?
or is it
Who
just?
knows? It's
It just piles of junk, old chairs and
bags
Just
of clothes
bags
or
and
something.
just all
It's
kinds
junk.
of stuff. My pictures I've lost, there it goes. I would put it up here, but I didn't set it up to go up there to show you. And
So who
everything too.
initiates the Board of Health?
I'd have to go back in my notes because there's a procedure that we found when we were going through, when Dale and I were going through with Traders. There's a procedure that we have to go through, and we'll have to research that again to go through that procedure.
Right.
But yeah, we can write one. We could write one on the garage and then the house actually, but the again, it's just like.
Well, I'll talk
like it
about
is.
Traders in a
Yeah,
moment.
it's kind of like. no teeth in it, you can write and say, yeah, it's a fire violation, but they don't have to act on it. But it's a letter that they can get additionally with the other letters.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the contact us pieces, all right? Actually, I'm going to come down to the status of some of the zoning violations that we've been working on, okay? And the first one was the Okeana-Drewsbury, so we sort of covered that one. Schraden is one that just came up. I received a letter, which I meant to copy for you guys so that you could read it too, but it was from somebody named Preston living at Box 262 in Okeana. Okay, so it's a mailbox address is all I've got. This is the section of Schraden that is from Alert New London to California, which is the county's maintenance piece. The first line in there was talking about a tree that had fell during the storms and everything else, and it needed to be cleared, and he was looking at his insurance company and everything else. Well, I spoke with Rob about that, and Rob said that that was concerned to the Butler County engineers, the state, because it was county road, portion of the county road, all right? I have yet, but I'm still researching this, okay? The second portion of it about it is that if you know this part of the road, as you're driving from Alert New London and up, you'll pass by and you'll see this big, huge RV shelter sitting very close to the road, okay? And that's the property he mentions in here. It's 6495 Schraden. And he mentions about frontage, road frontage setback, okay? Because essentially, it's very close to the road. Eye-wise, it looks very close to the road, okay? Now, I haven't gone out to measure it yet, but the particular place where this is located, the terrain does nothing but go whoop, 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 whoop.
This is the one with the really, really steep driveways, correct?
Right.
It's gravel. Yeah, I know where you're talking about.
Okay, all right. And so I looked to see if there was a certificate for it, but I found 3 certificates, but none of them were for this particular building or shelter accessory structure. One for a
Is
new
it new?
house. Huh?
Is it new?
Reasonably new, because when I look at the pictures that are on the auditor's site, the pictures from 2010, which this property had all the way back to 2010. In 2010, it wasn't there. 2012, it showed up. And of course, it's there in 2018. So I went back and looked at Ed's, our listing in our electronic piece to try to find the certificate. I found one for a new house, one for an accessory structure, but it wasn't that one. And there was one other one, I forget exactly what it was, and everything else. So I'm still in the process of trying to get an idea of, is this, a violation?
For his death.
Because, and then I looked today to see if it had gone before the BZA. It had not gone before the BZA, as far as I can tell, in any form or fashion. So I need to go out and measure and then see if he's in violation. If he's in violation, then he's going to have to come, I'm going to have to bring it before the BZA and let the BZA make the determination and fine him that way, okay? And everything else, and let them agree that he can keep it as it is, because his terrain is enough to say. His terrain is enough, if you've ever seen it. You've seen it, and Rob has said the same thing. The terrain doesn't allow him to put it anywhere else.
Can you check Butler County Building Department, see if any permits were pulled?
I could, I will,
Yeah,
yeah. All right, but that was new.
okay.
At 4151 Chapel, I drove by it today. They have not removed any of the other vehicles. I'm going to be sending a letter out this week. State Line Road, the same thing. And that letter will go out this week as well. I'm just going to assign them myself because they're all inoperable vehicles. Now we come down to our 2-year-old battle with Mr. Trader, okay? I sent an email to Marianne Nardiello. She passed me on to Dan Ferguson, who's in civil court. I talked to Dan this afternoon for the first time, and he and I discussed very, very regularly. He said I had two options, probably. One, of course, he can write the letter, okay, and everything else, but he feels like it would be just a like throwing it in the waste can type of thing, and everything else for court order and et cetera. And he doesn't feel that we would be in a very supportive picture because we cannot afford as a township to have it removed if we take it to court, a civil court, that is, okay, and everything else. He suggested that then I probably go and move it to area court. And I said, okay, I will start to build the case for area court. Now, that's a different lawyer. I know Jeff Schlossman. He and I worked on the Schulteis case of the fence when I wanted to take it to area court. So I will begin this week to fill out the form for area court and get with Jeff Schlossman and work that out and see how we can do, because that would pain Mr. Trader even more, because it's a fine for every day the violation has not been complied to, up to $500 a day, all right? And so he could be facing a pretty steep heavy.
So is there any cost to file that?
A small fee, as far as I know. It didn't cost me anything I have to go to Area 3 court, present the case to see if it was proposed the case to go to Area 1 for, all of that.
Don't they only go up to a maximum too, if I remember right?
$500 a day, but it's per day.
Right, but I thought it went to a max.
I don't think so, because if we'd have even gone to area court with Schulteis, it would have been something like $20,000, because it had been a year and a half or so.
I had 10 in mind for some reason, seemed like, but you might be
I'll have
right.
to look. I'll have to look
I
at
don't
the.
remember.
I'll have to look, because that's in the zoning ORCs in terms of that.
Well, when you meet with that person from area court, maybe discuss some of the other situations we have.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, because the same thing would work for state line.
right.
Okay, and everything else. Pretty much on state line and Mr. Trader, and for Okeana Drewsburg, if it goes that far. Okay, and everything else, because I could probably, it's like I said, I'm looking very hard at as to whether or not he's running a business down there. And he's in an R2, that's R2, and it doesn't allow for business of any kind, especially that particular type of business, if he's in auto repair. All right, so that brings us up to date on Bell Road. And then suddenly, it's just like when the sun came out this week, so did all the people wanting certificates. I've had 6 different certificates written this past week for a total of $1,415. One of them is for an in-ground pool. 2 of them are for accessory structures. 2 of them are for additions to a house, one on Morgan Ross, which is 1,100 square feet. And then where was the sunroom? I forgot. There's a sunroom plus a deck that's being added to another house. And then 2 new constructions, one on Kenneth Court. Okay, just to
Okay.
let you know.
Thank you.
So you don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling, just asking.
And the other one on Howard Road, between Race Lane and Edgewood. Okay, as you're going down there on the right side, you'll see a new driveway. Okay, and everything, and that's where it's going to go. It's 90. I didn't write the address down, but it's 9735. Okay, and the only other thing I've got is, may I have a ream of paper, because I'm using my printer paper. May I have a ream?
Oh, absolutely, they're in there in
Okay,
the, you should ask me today when you were here. That's what it's there
I just
for.
wanted to know. Okay, that's all. I'll get it tonight. when I get it.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Nope.
Okay.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, first one, We need to amend Resolution 7020. I had it coming out of Fund 4101, and after Chief and I kind of looked over the budget, we decided to take it out of 2111 instead. So I want to amend Resolution 70-2020 to read, approves a PO to Office Furniture Source LLC for $18,018.23 for lockers for firehouse from Fund 2111.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brooker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. Chief Galloway and I have started working on the fire levy, and I've gotten the steps that we need to take. I've contacted Marianne Nardiello, and she will have the first required resolution prepared by the next meeting, and that resolution is just requesting the figures that we need from the county auditor so that we can decide what we want to do. So I will have.
Did we get a final ruling on the
There-
verbiage?
Chief and I we called Mike Stein, and Roger answered the phone. And so we talked to him, and then Mike came by when he got out of his meeting, so we had them both on the phone, and they both said renewal. So we'll wait until we get the figures, from the county auditor's office, and it'll tell us, what each one will generate and everything, and then we'll have to decide before we take the next step for the next resolution. Okay?
Yeah, they were pretty adamant about renewal.
Yeah.
Both of them, and they had all kinds of documentation why and stuff like that, so. But the physical documentation of the numbers is in transit, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And the last one, I need to approve a PO to SRM Concrete for $2,500 for concrete for the culvert repairs that Rob and the crew are doing.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved. That's all I have tonight.
And I had just two inputs from emails that I received. One was concerning videos. I know we're streaming the meetings live, but posting the videos out there, are we still doing that? Do we still get those posted out?
Immediately.
people
They're
can-
live.
They're on
They're
there.
But if-
live and it's recording as it's live.
So it's already out there? So
Yes,
It's out there right now.
Okay.
and it
then
stays
the-
out there.
And then the second thing is comments. Do we have an option where if somebody wants to make a comment during the meeting, they can send this in? And I know we don't have anybody monitoring our streaming service.
No,
But-
but they can call one of us, they can email one of us, and they can leave it and do that. Because there is a rule, once you start that with live, you have to do that all the time.
I know Crosby does it, and but their contracted service enables them to have a call in or a comment, and that's probably, I don't know how long this will go on, but people would like to ask questions or comments, and comments are about the best thing or easiest thing to do. So just wanted to bring that up to see if there was any kind of thought about that.
You can give
To
me,
make sure the
you can give me your
community-
cell phone number and have them text you during the meeting, if you want to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Okay, we'll push that out then.
Okay.
All right, that's all I've got.
Okay, Mr. Brucker?
I just received quite a few contact us emails and passed them on to the appropriate people. So, did you get back with Ronnie Williams?
Yeah, and we had a discussion, and I could probably give you a little bit of detail about that when we have our executive session.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, so Rob, you need an executive session for personnel with confidential matters. All right, so I'll make a motion at 8:22 to go to executive session for
Second.
personnel for confidential matters.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
Let's take. I'm gonna take a quick
AC.
Okay, I'll make an motion at 9:17 to come out of executive session.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
We are back in session.
Okay, had some minor discussion about some of the part-time help for the road, dealing with the COVID-19. I think all that was taken care of. Anything else?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
yes.
We are adjourned.